Hare Krishna Please accept my humble obeisances, dear Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis, and please give me your blessings that I may, with your empowerment and your blessings and good wishes, be able to speak something on this very wonderful verse that's coming up today from Srimad Bhagavatam. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
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 Narayanam Namaskritya.
Narayanam Namaskritya.
Naram Chaiva Narottama.
Naram Chaiva Narottama.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam.
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam. Yato Jayamudiraye.
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu.
Nashtaprayeshu abhadreshu.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhagavati Uttama Shloke.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki.
So we are on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 14, entitled 15, The Pandavas retire timely. And the verse we are on is number 24. Please repeat after me. Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha. Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Vaishnavis.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Mito nignanti bhutani.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha.
Bhavayanti chayanmitaha. Prayenaitat Bhagavatam.
Ishvarasya vicheshtitam. Mito nignanti bhutani
Bhavayanti chayamitaha.
Word for word. Prayana etat.
Payanataha.
It is almost by.
It is almost by
Bhagavataha.
Bhagavatam
Of the personality of Godhead.
of the personality of God,
Ishwarasya.
Ishvarasya
Of the Lord.
of the Lord,
Vicheshtitam.
Vicheshtitam
By the will of.
by the will of
Mitaha.
Mitaha,
One another.
one another,
Nignanti. To
Nignanti,
kill.
do kill,
Bhutani.
Bhutani,
The living beings.
the living beings,
Bhavayanti.
Bhavayanti
As also protect.
as
also protect.
Cha.
Cha,
Also.
also,
Yat.
Yat,
Of whom.
of whom,
Mitaha.
Mitaha,
One another.
one another.
Translation by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada.
Teacher.
Prabhupada ki. Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord, the personality of Godhead. Sometimes people kill one another, and at other times they protect one another. Please repeat. Factually, this is all due to the supreme will of the Lord.
This is all due to the supreme will of the
The
Lord,
personality of Godhead.
the personality of Godhead.
Sometimes people kill one another,
People kill one another,
and at other times
and at other times
they protect one another.
they protect one another.
Purport, the divine purport by Srila Prabhupada again, Srila Prabhupada ki. According to the anthropologists, there is nature's law of struggle for existence and survival of the fittest. But they do not know that behind the law of nature is the supreme direction of the supreme personality of Godhead. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed that the law of nature is executed under the direction of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is peace in the world, it must be known that it is due to the good will of the Lord. And whenever there is upheaval in the world, it is also due to the supreme will of the Lord. Not a blade of grass moves without the will of the Lord. Whenever, therefore, there is disobedience of the established rules enacted by the Lord, there is war between men and nations. The surest way to the path of peace, therefore, is dovetailing everything to the established rule of the Lord. The established rule is that whatever we do, whatever we eat, whatever we sacrifice, or whatever we give in charity must be done to the full satisfaction of the Lord. No one should do anything, eat anything, sacrifice anything, or give anything in charity against the will of the Lord. Discretion is the better part of valor, and one must learn how to discriminate between actions which may be pleasing to the Lord and those which may not be pleasing to the Lord. An action is thus judged by the Lord's pleasure or displeasure. There is no room for personal whims. We must always be guided by the pleasure of the Lord. Such action is called yogaha karmasu kaushalam, or actions performed which are linked with the Supreme Lord. That is the art of doing a thing perfectly. Om Ajnanatiminandasya Jnanajnashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakadamayam Dadati Swapadantakam. So here we can see how Srila Prabhupada is explaining very, very clearly to us in no uncertain terms that everything should be done for the pleasure of the Lord. That is our constitutional position. We are simply servants of the Lord. Just as a servant has no right to say, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that, I desire this, I think it should be this, I think. Similarly, the servant of the Lord is humbly praying to the Lord, how can I serve you, my Lord, and how can I do it so nicely that you will be pleased? how do we know that? Through the words of the spiritual master. So everything has to be done in order to please the Lord. Here, Srila Prabhupada is again explaining what is explained in verse 927 of Bhagavad Gita, which goes like this: Yat karoshi, yat ashnasi, yat juhoshi dadasi, yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurishva madarpana. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, whatever austerities you perform, O son of Kunti, do that as an offering unto me. So every action has to be governed by only one principle. Is this pleasing to Guru and Krishna? That's all. That's the only criterion. That's the only yardstick. Unless it is so, our actions are not perfect. And they will not be pleasing to Guru or Krishna. They will actually not be pleasing to us or to anyone else also. It actually causes great misery when we are acting in the modes of passion, ignorance, even sometimes goodness, if it's not sanctioned by the Lord through the spiritual master's words. That can also become very displeasing. So we must understand that we are very, very bewildered by the illusory energy. We are very small. We really don't have the capacity. We are just not smart enough to run our own lives. Let's face it. We think we are. But then, when you get kicked around by Maya, you realize, oh Krishna, I need help. And when that soul truly calls out in great despair, I really need help. I'm floundering, I'm suffering. Please help me. Then Krishna sends the spiritual master. When the student is ready, then the teacher will appear. And once the teacher appears, what does the soul do? Simply take shelter of the lotus feet of the spiritual master and be guided by him on this path of bhakti. We are so fortunate. Again and again I am reminded of how fortunate we are, because Srila Prabhupada, the emissary of the Lord, has come down from the spiritual world and he has lighted up the path all the way back home, back to Godhead. There is no need for guesswork, speculation, figuring things out, worrying, putting things together, analyzing. We are great at analyzing, and then we become paralyzed. It's called paralysis by analysis. And then finally you're like, oh, stop it. So that's the nature of the mind. That's the nature of how it drags us. The monkey mind. And unfortunately, the more education you have, the more monkeys you have. It's not one monkey, it's several monkeys. Several monkeys can create a lot of trouble in the head, So better to simply, helplessly surrender and say, Krishna, I don't know anything. I have no knowledge, no intelligence, no qualification, no nothing. Please help me. And Krishna sends the spiritual master simply out of compassion for the struggling spirit soul who is swimming and swimming and swimming in this ocean which has no end, and says, by my mercy, this ocean will get reduced to the size of the hoof print of a calf. So small. You can just step over it. So simple. So, when we are surrendered and when we are really obeying the will of the Lord, everything falls into place very nicely. There is no struggle, there is no worry, there is no tension. There is simply that restful peace that comes from knowing that you are following God's plan, Krishna's plan for your life. And there is no greater relief than having that anxiety-less state, because we are so tortured for so many lifetimes by all this material energy pushing and pummeling and shoving and torturing you, that finally, when that peace of knowing that there is no other way except following Krishna's way, everything else falls by the wayside and we become situated in that mood of humility and surrender and meekness and the utter helplessness of understanding there's no way I can do it, Krishna, without your special mercy, without the mercy of the Guru, without the mercy of the blessings of our seniors, our well-wishers, our guides. It's very difficult. Our path is strewn with thorns. The Bible says that, isn't it? The of the righteous is strewn with thorns. It's not going to be easy. Nobody said ever it's going to be easy, because it's not a cheap thing. Srila Prabhupada said, God is not a cheap thing. Don't take it lightly. If you want a diamond, you have to be willing to pay the price. And what is that price? Being in the fire of purification. If we are not in the fire, we are not growing. Just as gold gets purified by the goldsmith repeatedly, putting it in the fire, the impurities get burned. The goldsmith takes it out, looks at it, then again puts it into the fire. So we will have repeated episodes where we are in the fire, and we should welcome these. Thank you, Krishna. Finally, I am getting rid of one layer of anarthas that go down who knows how many trillions and trillions of lifetimes. Thank you. One more layer is coming off. I'm surrendering more to you simply because you're forcing me. There's no choice, like Draupadi. No! So actually our suffering is a benediction. It is a great blessing, because the devotee understands this is being administered personally by the hand of the Lord to pull you back home closer to Him. The Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto, 14th chapter, 8th verse. It's a very, very instructional verse. And Srila Prabhupada says, a devotee must learn this, practice this, apply this alongside the Mahamantra. It's so important. My dear Lord, one who awaits your causeless mercy, while earnestly suffering all the reactions to his past sinful deeds, offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. And in that beautiful, beautiful purport, which it's really my favorite verse, I think, in Srimad Bhagavatam, because here Krishna is explaining clearly through the words of Srila Prabhupada how it is instructional for us to understand that if you are sincerely wanting to go back home, back to Godhead, troubles will come that will test you to the maximum. And this is one way of Krishna pulling us closer and closer to Him and detaching us from this material world and attaching us more to Him. Krishna shakes things up like an earthquake until you are left holding on to the only thing unshakable, His lotus feet. And that is where we want to be. Abhaya Charanaravinda. Srila Prabhupada was named Abhaya Charanaravinda. Fearless at the lotus feet of the Lord. So we want to strive for that position. We want to reach that point where the material energy simply cannot shake us. Because we are fixed on the lotus feet of the Lord. It's not easy to reach this point, but we must strive for it. It is very, very important, because that's what Srila Prabhupada wants. He wants us to become steady. And then we can sail freely without any difficulties, because we have the protection of the Lord's lotus feet. We have the protection of the spiritual master. We are no longer being pulled away by Maya's attractions. We are no longer feeling, oh, maybe I can try this. Maybe I should try that. Maybe I should change my location, change my job, change my, whatever, change my gender. Nowadays that's the latest, isn't it? Change my gender, maybe I'll be happier that way. Change this, change that, change that, change that. Really, there's nothing to change except our mindset. Our mind is the cause of all difficulties. In Kali Yuga, it's the mind. And of course our weak and helpless bodies and all the other things. So really, we have no control over anyone or anything, least of all the material energy. She's too powerful. But the only thing we can exert control over is our own mind and senses. And really pray for the mercy that we can achieve some measure of control, that we can at least engage in devotional service nicely. At least we can try to become in the mode of goodness. So from the mode of goodness, it's easier and easier and easier to practice Krishna consciousness. As long as we are in the modes of passion and ignorance, our activities are very troublesome, very, very troublesome, and they lead to misery. It's like poison in the beginning. But slowly, 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 and in the end it turns to nectar. Now which one of us doesn't want to drink nectar? We all want that. We want the nectar of serving the Lord purely, with no anarthas, and actually becoming satisfied and self-sufficient. Because like the river is cleansed of all dirty water, as we go on with this process, we become more and more and more situated in the mode of goodness. And one day, we will actually reach the mode of transcendence. Many lifetimes maybe, doesn't matter. But we are not going to give up. We are going to keep going. We are going to keep going. We are not going to stop. Because the promise of the spiritual master is there. You do this and you will see Krishna face to face one day. It's a promise. So we want to take shelter. We want to become very fixed up. We want to have total faith. Jesus said if you have the size of the size of a mustard seed. What's a mustard seed? If you go into the kitchen, one mustard seed, you accidentally drop it, it's going all over, you cannot even see it. But if you have faith the size of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. Can you move the mountain? No. It's your faith that moves Krishna, and He moves the mountain. So therefore, we must never be discouraged. Like that little bird, that little sparrow, she was so determined. You, ocean, give my eggs back to me. I'm going to do everything I can to get my baby's eggs back. And what did she start doing? With a little beak, she started emptying the ocean, so to speak. And the ocean wasn't, the ocean is the ocean, it's so mighty. But word spread around. And finally Garuda, the mighty bird carrier of the Lord, he was so compassionate. He was moved by what? A determination. And he came down and the matter was solved. So by ourselves, we are very little, we are very small. But when we become determined and we make sincere efforts, we attract the mercy of the Lord. And this is the art of doing everything perfectly. Because we are not perfect. We are all mixed up. We have all mixed, devotional service. It's not pure, it's not perfect. But as long as we try, as long as we are endeavoring, we want a heart that is constantly moving towards Krishna and not being swayed by Maya. We want a heart that is constantly being cleansed by the power of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And when we call out in helplessness, like a little child calling for the mother, Mother Hara, Radhe, please give me your mercy. Oh Mother, you are so compassionate. You can move my Father to give me mercy. By your mercy, by your blessings, I can reach closer and closer to both my mother and my father, but we get the mercy of the Father through the mother. So Hara, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. How many times does Hare come? So many times, right? So that's mother. Her mercy is everything. And by her mercy, we can make little more progress. 1 milliliter at a time. Millimeter at a time. Maybe it's a very small fraction of distance. But at least I'm making 1 millimeter of progress. At least I'm moving a little closer to you, Krishna. And not backwards. Not 5 steps forward and 6 steps backward. We are always striving at least 4 steps forward. Even if I go backward a little bit, let it be only 1 or 2. So that or even 3, but let it be in the aggregate, the sum total is, I make 1 step forward. So we must be very, very careful. The material energy is extremely powerful. Maya is very strong. We cannot afford to take her lightly. She's very, very powerful. She's a devotee of the Lord. And her business is to keep all the nonsense out of the spiritual world. We cannot remain nonsense and go back to the spiritual world. We have to become, if we want the kingdom of God, we have to become godly. And that is an exercise. Every day we chant the holy names, we engage in the prasad devotion service, we are praying all the time for the mercy of the Lord, every moment. Remembering Krishna, crying out to Krishna, calling out to Krishna, Krishna save me, I am helpless, I have forgotten you and I have lost my way here. I was in the spiritual world with you and it is my own foolishness, my own stupidity, my own craziness that I strayed away and I lost my way and I am here now. But please help me to come back to you. Many times, you all know I'm a therapist, so sometimes my poor helpless client will say, I'm so crazy, I say, I'm crazy too. I mean, we're all crazy because we left Krishna. What could be crazier than that? That's madness. We left the spiritual world and came here, thinking there's something to enjoy here. What could be crazier than that? Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj said the living entity comes into this material world to pass urine and stew. We should be disgusted with this situation. We should be longing to get our spiritual body back. We should be crying out saying, oh Krishna, I made a mistake. Please help me to come back to you. And Krishna helps. Because our original constitutional position is what? Nityera, what is that?
Jivera Swarupa.
Jivera Swarupa, thank you. Jivera Swarupa Nityera Krishna Das. That is our eternal position. We are nothing but servants of God, Krishna. Only God is God. We have done enough with lording it over, manipulating, pushing, trying, shoving, everything we have done. And there's no use. It only leads to misery. If we want genuine happiness, we have to run after spiritual happiness. One drop of spiritual happiness is not equal to all the possible material happiness of this world. Srila Prabhupada is saying this. So we want to strive for that real nectar. We want to strive for coming back to our constitutional position. And I'm thankful to Ashtika Prabhu for cueing me in on the Sanskrit verse.
It's actually Bengali verse.
Yes, very nice. And this is what is actually needed, especially those born in the holy land of India, those who have taken Indian bodies. Your good wife is a master's in the Vedic literature, so that's a very, very wonderful thing.
She's masters in Bengali literature, not Vedic.
Yeah, but she studied, all the Vaishnava literatures as part of that. It is more important, those who are in Indian bodies. Srila Prabhupada said this in New Talavana. It's there in the purports. I read that transcript many times. Bharat bhumite manushya janma hoilo ja, janma sarthak kari karo para upkar. Indians, especially those who have taken their birth in the holy land of India, we have a very, very important mandate. We have to make our lives successful and help others make their lives successful. And Srila Prabhupada in that particular lecture, in another lecture, he said, Indians are not meant for exploiting others. The rest of the world can do that and is doing that. But we are meant to help the world understand Krishna consciousness. This is our most important duty. And we have to take it very seriously. Every one of us. But especially those born in India. Because India is the land of spiritual knowledge. Krishna didn't come to Hollywood. He didn't come to Washington DC. He came to Vrindavan. He came to Navadvip. All these are holy places, tirthas where the Lord... Of course the Lord manifests in other areas of the world also. But from time immemorial, the great spiritual thinkers, teachers, gurus, spiritual masters, for a long, long time have been... India has been blessed as the holy land, the land of spirituality. So we have a very, very important, very, very important service. We have to understand that our life is not ours. It belongs to Krishna and should be directed completely by Krishna and should be completely dovetailed for His pleasure. And in His pleasure lies our pleasure. Krishna is not going to keep you miserable if you try to make Him happy. He is the source of all happiness. us is being filled with a divine purpose, with a divine plan. Krishna has a divine plan for each and every one of us. And that is revealed the more and more we chant, the more and more we take the orders of the spiritual master seriously, the more and more we try to execute the mission of Srila Prabhupada, more and more empowerment comes, more and more revelations come, more and more facilities come, more and more people, projects, everything will come. First thing is we have to be sincere. That is the first criteria. And then everything else, one by one, will follow suit. But when it comes, we have to be extremely careful not to get bewildered. Name, fame, money, position, this, that. Very, very careful. This is actually Krishna sending this for me to become more humble and use it in my service and not use it for my own glorification. No. Servant leader. Servant whatever. Anything, you are a servant. Nothing but a servant. Whatever your position may be in the spiritual, material or spiritual, anywhere, you are nothing but a servant. And unless we understand this, Krishna will not give us opulence. Because he knows how easily the entity is bewildered, so he will not give us any opulence until and unless we are qualified and ready for it. Which means it will not sway us. It will not deter us. It will not bewilder us. It will not confuse us. We will now be using that simply to serve him better. I can remember how I was so crazy about money. I was like, now I've got the second degree, I've got 2 big degrees, I've got to make it. And Krishna never gave me any money for a long time. I really was like, what is going on? I'm supposed to be making big money and I'm doing nothing of the sort. What am I doing? This, that. So much confusion. And now in Mayapur Dham I'm making so much money. Who will believe it? People leave Mayapur, right? Say, no, we have to make money, we have to do this. Krishna is giving me facilities, he's giving me money, he's giving me people, he's sending me projects. But that wouldn't have happened had I not really followed the orders of my Guru Maharaj, which was stay in New Talavana. Serve everyone there. First, your husband, your local temple, and then all your services through Skype, whatever it is, through your counseling services for the whole of ISKCON. Was it easy? Of course not. I was so much temptation, so many distractions, so many orders from my parents. Of course, my mother was, of course, terribly disappointed. Oh, you're sitting in this wilderness. Oh, you have so many big degrees. Oh, if you were in the city, you could make so much money. Oh, you could have such a big name. And what are you doing? Isn't it? That's normally what people say, isn't it? Look at this woman, 2 big degrees. She's just a loser, sitting in the wilderness and doing what? But even the Bible says repeatedly, so many people were sent into the wilderness to prepare them for whatever was to come. So now I get it. Yes, Krishna, now I got it. Now when I'm no longer interested in money, money is coming. Isn't that funny? So we have a very, very important, to come back to the point I'm trying to make is, Krishna has a plan, Krishna has a purpose, and Krishna's plan is perfect. Our plans, our ideas will never give us satisfaction because they are man-made, not God-made. So better to follow Krishna's plan. Because in Krishna's plan there's complete protection, there's complete provision. Everything is there. There is no lack. You will lack nothing. Everything will come. But we must understand that our own desires cannot get mixed up in that. We have to be surrendered. So many bitter pills we will have to swallow. But once we swallow them, we get cured. And we have to swallow them very carefully according to the prescription of the physician. Which Prabhu, our herbal doctor, will say, so many people, they buy the bottle and keep it on the shelf, and he has to tell them, Prabhu, to get cured, you have to take the medicine, I remember him telling me that. So, we have to take the medicine if we want to get cured. And it's very simple, it's very easy, and it's so easy and so simple that we can miss it. we can miss it because we can come up with our own concoctions, our own, speculations. So we have to be very, very careful. We have to strictly follow the orders of Guru, Sadhu and Shastra, and they will guide us, they will lead us, and they will keep on leading us. But our position, we must never forget. Humble servitors of the Lord, helpless at every moment, completely dependent on the mercy of Vaishnavas, Guru, Sadhu, Shastra to keep going. Because remember, any moment you can fall into the ditch. You may be GBC, you may be zonal secretary, you may be anything, but you are nothing but a servant. And we must always, always, always be very mindful of the power of Maya to distract us, to bewilder us, to confuse us. We must become completely sure that we are nothing but servants of the Lord and humbly submit to His will and desires for us. Then our life will be successful. So thank you very much for listening patiently, and let us open up for questions and answers and have a very nice discussion. Jesse Prabhu. Hi, Prabhu. Thank you.
So earlier in the class, you had said something about that I guess the teachings of Prabhupada or the scriptures or whatever, that there's no room for speculation or guessing, and it's actually a very good thing. And it reminded me of this must have been maybe even 2 months ago now. There was this pious Hindu family that came to visit, and I walked around with them a little bit, showed them around, and got them some prasad and stuff. And we were sitting under the pavilion, and so they weren't too familiar with Krishna consciousness. They had visited, I think, once before. And anyway, the husband of the family, he said, he was kind of asking me about process and about my views of Krishna consciousness. And so I was telling him essentially that I was explaining a bit about the Bhagavad Gita, and I gave him this analogy. I said it's like so some people might say that life is a test, and that every moment is a question, and that Bhagavad Gita has all of the answers. It's like the cheat sheet. And so he said, oh, well, that's not quite accurate. He said, it's more of a guideline, or it's more of guidelines that will bring us to the place where we can figure it out on our own. So how to respond to a situation? What's the best way?
This is common. Actually, many Indian families, any Indians, I was one of them. So, I know everything. You don't have to tell me anything. You're a white guy. What do you know? That's pretty common, And believe me, I'm embarrassed to say I was also one of them. So, yes, misconceptions are there, and mental speculation is also there. But there's a basic piety, because at least they have come to the temple, at least they're trying to engage in Krishna consciousness. So, in the very first stages, it's best not to discuss the philosophy too much with them, because they are not going to first and foremost understand it or take it or even entertain a contrary opinion, because they're not open-minded yet. So the way to get them open-minded is through prasadam. Their hearts have to soften first. First, we have to make a good friendship with them. We have to cultivate them. We have to engage them somehow or the other. Prabhu, just come along with me. Come on, can you help me serve out prasadam? Yeah, I'll come. And they begin devotional service that way. At least they have done something for Krishna. It's Agnata Sukriti. When they start doing something for Krishna, at least they have opened their spiritual bank account. So somehow or the other, if we can engage them, of course they're coming, they're offering obeisances, they're taking charanamritam. Those are nice people. Say, oh, what's your expertise? Oh, you're a computer engineer, great. Can you help us with our website? Oh, you're an architect, wonderful. We have our new, guest house project coming up. Do you think you can contribute to that? Because some of them are many of them are very well educated people. They are, Some of them are highly placed, They may be professor at USF. Oh, great. Can you let us have a student program? Can you just help us to come and discuss the Bhagavad Gita? Oh, yeah, I can do it. So let them speculate away. Let them come up with their own fancy ideas. Believe me, you will hear mind-boggling things. I've heard really wild things, But we just smile and say, nice, yes. Don't argue, don't present a contrary view because they are not there yet. Just gently lead them by loving, interactions and prasadam and help them to surrender more and more. And once in a while, you can interject straight philosophy when they're, finished, they're out of breath a little bit. Just say one thing straight from the Gita. Yeah, very nice. But Krishna says, sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshyashyami ma sucha. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. And because they are pious, they like to hear the Sanskrit words. And you're speaking directly what Krishna is saying. So once in a while, just interject that. And slowly you will see, they will be coming every time when they come. Oh, they will seek you out. They will say, oh, Jesse Prabhu, it's so nice to be with you. I really enjoyed our talk. Like that. So we cultivate a friendship. We cultivate a relationship. We show by our loving interactions that we care about them. We care about their spiritual life. They are very valuable to Krishna because they have come to the temple. They say that people don't care how much you know unless they know how much you care. So I have seen in my interactions with the Indian families over here, the more friendly and caring I am, the more they will actually listen. When maybe after 10 minutes of listening to them, you can just say one thing. And you just say it and leave it. Don't present it as a something to be argued over, Just say that one thing and just let it sink in there. Is that helpful?
Yeah, that's very nice.
Okay, thank you. Dvibhuj Prabhu and then Madhva. We can discuss more, Jesse, if you have further questions. I hope that was helpful.
Oh yeah, it's very sufficient.
Okay.
I was going to mention that the dilemma in Kali Yuga, I was reading Srimad Bhagavatam, that the dilemma is that actually higher than worship of Krishna is worship of the Vaishnava.
Yes.
But in Kali Yuga, people are so envious that Krishna has to appear as a deity to be worshipped because people will find fault in the Vaishnava. So in the deity form, many times it's easier for people to worship the deity, but actually what we really need more than anything is to accept a bona fide spiritual master. A person like that, the problem is that within the core of their heart, they're envious, and Srila Prabhupada is actually the only emissary coming from India who actually gave this Bhagavad Gita as it is. But because they are not familiar with Srila Prabhupada, it's very difficult for us to communicate because we don't know anything without Srila Prabhupada. If we don't have Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, if they don't accept Prabhupada, it's very difficult. But, they can accept the deities at least, take prasadam and chant Hare Krishna like that, see the deities. Much more intimate in it, but the only solution is when one accepts a bona fide spiritual master.
Very true.
It's the only way out.
Right, very true. And, that's we have been given that great good fortune to be connected to Srila Prabhupada's mission. What a great mission this is. So yes, they may, their understanding may be very meager, very minimal, and we can somehow try to bring them closer and closer to Srila Prabhupada. Yes, at some point, they may even accept, here's a Bhagavad Gita, please take it, please keep it in your house, please read it, like that, as we slowly give them the books. That's a very good point. Somewhere along the way, you can give them a book, to take home, especially if they don't have a copy of Bhagavad Gita. Very good for you to offer, hey, why don't you keep this in your house? And that will also be very beneficial for them. Good point, Srila. Thank you for bringing that out. I forgot that. Give them a book. Good point. Thank you. Madhva Priya?
I was also reacting to the
same thing, and you said there's no room for speculation, but there's so much room for speculation, because we make room. And sometimes we think that we are following Srila Prabhupada, and we're following part of what he said, our favorite part. And we kind of make our own Prabhupada in that way. And we don't know it, because it's very subtle, and I know I've done it, and probably everybody's done it some way. So there's a lot of room for speculation. So actually I have two ideas, 2 points. One is somehow we have to find out how to keep refreshed so that we are always hearing the real Prabhupada and not avoiding things that he says that are kind of hard on us. Maybe that's one thing. And other thing, when you're talking about how to talk to Indians, what about the example Prabhupada gave where he would fight with the Mayavadis? He would have arguments with them. So sometimes I don't want to just say, oh, everything's fine, you can stay Mayavadi, just be comfortable here and know we're friends. I'm not satisfied with that.
Well, the thing is, we don't have the stature of Srila Prabhupada.
But we're supposed to. We're not supposed to just give up arguing with Mayavadis just because we're not Prabhupada.
No, that's not what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is that Srila Prabhupada had so much love for every soul that even through that fighting, they could see that love ultimately and come. Yeah. We don't have so much love for people, so when we start fighting, it just becomes an ugly brawl, it just becomes very unpleasant. And there's enough, unpleasantness in Kali Yuga. We must strenuously try to avoid, really fighting with people, unless it's a very formal debate, like, there's a platform for it, intellectuals have come together and they're going to debate, then that's different. But I'm talking about guests coming for the Sunday feast, everyone is in the, family, it's a family atmosphere, and there, if we start having quarrels, it just leaves an unpleasant taste, So we have to be very, very careful, about how to preach, where to preach, and in which venue, what is appropriate, Yeah. So you're right, we have to be like lions. When it comes to defending the philosophy, yes, very strong. But we don't have to be disagreeable or unpleasant or harsh or let it, deteriorate. If people's feelings are getting ruffled, we say, okay, Prabhu, this is just what I have heard from my spiritual master. If it's not agreeable to you, I'll quit. But this is what I have, this is my understanding. Because I remember, I've dealt with a lot of the Indians who come, for the Sunday feast over the years. They'll all say, oh, all is one, Shiva and Parvati, and it's all one, they say. And I will very, very sweetly but humbly say, Prabhu, Krishna is supreme. All the demigods are only agents of the Supreme Lord. He is supreme. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And it's actually an offense, to say all is one. So they're like a little taken aback. But I've said it, I've said what they need to hear. I've defended our philosophy because Srila Prabhupada wants us. But I've said it in a way that doesn't ruffle their feelings or, doesn't attack them. We attack their stupid thinking. Between us, I'm saying this. We attack this crazy nonsense because it's nonsense. God is formless, He has no hands, no legs. What is this? This is offensive. Downright offensive. But we want to present it in a way that they will be accepted and their hearts will change. We don't want to battle with them, leaving them with the same set of beliefs. What we want is their mindset changes, their hearts change. So our approach has to be in that way. Mahalakshmi Devi.
Well, I thought that was a really good point that you're talking about the venue, that you're giving the Krishna consciousness, to somebody, because it is so important to be very, like for guests especially, because they're guests in your home and you're welcoming them and things like that, and so it's very important. And also just that gentleness of dealing with people. With my mother, over the years, You know, she was very devout Catholic. Practically every day of her life she chanted the rosary. You know,
Wonderful.
she was very devout in her practices.
She was a great lady.
Even
great
she was
soul.
old. Even when I would go visit her, she was still chanting the rosary. And
Hail Mary.
and so, but just putting little bits in, like I would listen to her inspirational, you know, gospel speakers and stuff, and then from that I would take the points of Krishna consciousness
Yeah.
and expand on their philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
And she would always be so happy, you know, because there was no conflict. It was always just a loving exchange, to the point where she was so favorable enough that she could come and stay at the Holy Dham and leave her body, you know, hearing Prabhupada and you know, Vibhuti Prabhu chanting. So I agree. I have a very soft approach too when I talk to people, especially like you're saying, you know, in the house. Also about the speculation too, there's two types, you know, there's mental speculation, which we avoid, and then there's philosophical, which, you know, you can debate back and forth, give your different realizations about instructions that were given or pastimes and things like that. So, just wanted to throw that out. But thank you very much. That was very nice.
Thank you, that's
Thank
very
you.
Mother Krishna had her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry, Mother
I'm
Krishna.
sorry,
Thank
I'm
you for
That
thank you
light
for
kind of
Yeah, I
blindness.
just, it's just what.
The
my
polling in the way.
understanding of the, when I see these, I pray to be an instrument. So when I see some of the Indian guests, they're like sitting down. So it's a wonderful thing because I know it's spiritual and it's good for them. So I will make like a hand gesture. Hey, come. And sometimes, you know, they'll just want to just observe it. Other times, like the other week, they got up and they said, okay, Krishna, help me now. But yeah, it was like, you could see that they had that nature, that they, of spiritual nature, in terms of, and then I could see the one lady, she was from Ghana and she was from Bengali nature, and the other lady said, yeah, she knows all about how to dance. I said, oh, good. So that kind of thing goes on, and I could see they were chanting too. Like you're enthusiastically chanting the holy name, and then they catch it on, and you know, it's like a spiritual thing like that.
Right.
So like you're saying, and then sometimes I find sometimes they do, depending like you say, how many times they come, and they were, like you were saying, interested when you're giving a verse like Krishna and then explain what it all is, and they're saying, whoa, you know all this is.
Right, to become respectful because you're sincerely, you know, saying something from the philosophy which is actually beneficial and it's Sanskrit, so it's very impressive to them. They know that deep down, they all, it's in their genes, practically speaking. They've just forgotten it. We have just forgotten it. I'm just so blessed that, you know, but for the grace of Srila Prabhupada, there go I, you know, it would have been similar, you know, for me. So I can understand, you know, both sides, so to speak. And it's wonderful for them to receive the mercy of Vaishnavas. So it's so nice. Any little thing that we can do to help a soul come closer to Krishna, Krishna becomes so happy. My personal, I'll just explain that after we hear Mother Kaivalya.